and she said, "Johnny, we're going to warn these deer that danger is near." And so we howled, and we howled, and we howled like wolves to warn the deer. And we found out the next day that almost no deer were killed.
Our next speaker is John Oberg, or as we say in Sweden, Öberg, of course. A long-time animal advocate who has dedicated his career to using social media to create a kinder world for animals. With over a decade of experience, he has reached millions online and inspired countless people to take action. In his presentation, John will share his journey and practical tips on how activists can use social media to make a bigger impact for animals. Please help me to welcome John.
Thank you, Martin. It is a real honor to be here. So, Luxembourg, when I say go, you say vegan. Go! Vegan. Go! Vegan. Go! Vegan. There we go, guys. That is what we are creating. We are creating a vegan world by being here. This is one of the important steps along the way to creating a vegan world. And that world is only going to happen if we all keep up the important work that we each are doing. So I want to say thank you so much to the IARC team, the International Animal Rights Conference team, for inviting me here. This is my third time attending and speaking. Last time was in 2023, and my first time was in 2018. And this is one of my favorite conferences in the whole world. It brings out such incredible people. And I know that many of you here for the first time, which is so exciting. I remember the first time I attended an animal rights conference, and it was a very, very meaningful experience to me. So I think that it's so cool that you all are here. And thank you for taking some time out of your day to come and see me talk. So who am I, and how did I end up here? Well, my name is John Oberg. I am an animal rights activist for the last 16 years. I am from Detroit, Michigan, in the United States, and I live in the States. And so it's a real honor to be here in Luxembourg. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey to advocacy, what I now value in advocacy and find to be the most useful time or effort that I can be putting in for the animals. But then also I'll be talking about practical tips that we can all take on social media. So how did I end up here? Well, I ended up here because I became an animal rights activist. But why did I become an animal rights activist? It's because of my mom, the late, great Karen Oberg. She was my rock, she was my best friend, and she really instilled a sense of compassion for animals in me right from the get-go. My mom and I were very poor. She was a single mother raising me, and so in the state of Michigan, if you return an aluminum can to the grocery store, you get 10 cents. And so what we would do is in the early mornings before school, we would go to a nearby park, and we would actually rummage through the trash cans, and we would collect aluminum cans and take them to the grocery store. A good day, we might find 200 cans over the course of an hour or two. And that would be $20. And that $20 would help keep the lights on and the electricity on at our apartment. And so my mom and I, we would do this every day. And in those early mornings when we would do this, the park would be silent except for these incredible creatures, these deer, who called this park home. So my mom and I, we kind of became buddy-buddy with these deer. We gave them names. We really formed a bond with these animals. And then one day, we found out that these deer were actually going to be slaughtered. These deer were going to be hunted after being protected for generations. And so we were heartbroken. And I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 at this time. And so while I was upset, there was certainly nothing I thought I could be doing about it. But my mom, she did not have the same mindset. She said, Johnny, we're going to fight this. We're going to do everything we can. And so we would go to the entrance of the park with these signs that my mom made by hand, and she called every single news station in Detroit, Michigan to try and get attention around this. And so unfortunately, our cries, they fell on deaf ears. and these animals were hunted, and our hearts were broken. But one day, my mom had this wild idea to sneak into the park when the hunt was going to go on. And she said, "Johnny, we're going to warn these deer that danger is near." And so we howled, and we howled, and we howled like wolves to warn the deer. And we found out the next day that almost no deer were killed. So while this hunt did commence and many deer lost their lives, much to our chagrin, we did feel, proud that we did everything we could, and this really taught me a lesson. That lesson is that when there is an injustice going on in the world, you fight against that injustice. When there's an opportunity to choose compassion, you choose compassion. And this was my first foray into animal advocacy, and I'm so grateful to my mom for making that happen. So please, give a round of applause to my late great mom, Karen Oberg. So fast forward a number of years, and I watched a film called Earthlings. Raise your hand if you've watched Earthlings. Okay, and now raise your hand if you have not watched Earthlings. Okay, so if you've already watched it, good on you. Don't ever watch it again. And if you haven't watched it yet, also don't watch it, okay? While it's a powerful film, if you're already a vegan activist and you're here attending this today, you really don't need to expose yourself to an hour and a half of animal cruelty footage, but it's a very, very useful tool for non-vegans because it exposes people to the cruel reality that farm animals are facing behind the closed doors of factory farms and slaughterhouses. And so I watched this film, and it really moved me. And so after watching this film in 2009, I went vegan, and I knew right then that being vegan was great, but it's really important to make other people go vegan. Because a vegan, it can only do so much, right? You essentially become a net neutral in terms of the suffering that you're contributing to. And so it's really, really important to get other people to come on our side. Because after all, what is the difference between a pig, a cow, and a chicken compared to a cat or a dog or a deer? These animals all deserve our compassion, our consideration, and our respect. So fast forward another few years, and I was attending a vigil outside of a slaughterhouse in downtown Los Angeles when I was living there. This vigil was put on by the great group Los Angeles Animal Save, and every night, or every time we would do this vigil, there would be dozens of trucks that would come throughout the night full of dozens of pigs who were on their way to the slaughterhouse. The trucks would stop for a moment outside the slaughterhouse. We would get to interact with these pigs. Some people would give them water. Some people would take videos to expose this cruel reality. I was there, and I made eye contact with this pig who I named Terry. And Terry and I looked at each other for a good 60 seconds. It was incredibly moving. And in that 60 seconds, I pulled out my phone and I got video footage of Terry just staring back at me with terror, with confusion, with fear. I knew that Terry knew that something bad was going to happen. So unfortunately, moments after this video was taken, Terry's truck entered the slaughterhouse, and moments after that, Terry was slaughtered and eventually eaten. So unfortunately, it is too late for Terry, but I posted this video, this 20-second video of Terry looking directly at the camera, and this video has been seen over 4 million times on Instagram. And so while it is too late for Terry, it is absolutely not too late for the many, many people out there who will be impacted by seeing Terry's story. If you were to go to my Instagram and click on that, it's the second pinned post on my Instagram, you will see dozens, or actually probably hundreds of comments from people who are saying that they are going vegan for Terry. So let me tell you the story about a guy named Jetmark. So Jetmark is a chef from the Philippines who I met because I was on a trip to Europe in 2018, and I was going to Europe with my buddy, and we were both living in the United States at the time, and my friend was afraid of flying, and so he said, we're going to take a ship. So we took a cruise ship from New York to Southampton, England. Kind of an odd way to travel these days, but it's what we did. It took about 7 days. And when on the second day, we went down to the buffet, and we were asking them what the vegan options were. I spoke to this guy named Jetmark, and I'm like, hey man, what are your vegan options? And to my surprise, he was very familiar with all of the veg options. And after he shows me everything that is available to me, he says, and hey man, I actually want to let you know that I don't eat animals myself. And whenever I come across somebody who doesn't eat animals, I try to be very, very supportive and inquire about why they decided to do this. And he says, well, actually, this is pretty wild because I saw a video on Facebook, and guess what? The video was posted by the organization who you're wearing the t-shirt for. And I looked down, and I'm wearing the t-shirt of the organization I had been working for and I had been running the social media for, which means I met this guy in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean who went veg because he saw a video that I posted. And this just goes to show the power of social media. You can reach people in all corners of the world, and that is exactly what happened with Jetmark. Now, you are part of a movement like we've never had before. We have never in the history of humankind been able to reach people in every corner of the world with this thing that's just sitting in all of our pockets. It is really incredible, and it has democratized information. Yes, there are certainly problems with social media, but the ability to spread information is absolutely wild. So I really, really feel like social media is the new frontier for animal rights. So how did I get my start in animal advocacy? Well, you learn about the things that inspired me. But once I became a vegan and decided to get involved with activism, I did a wide variety of different kinds of activism. I did food giveaways, I would show videos on street corners, I did protests, I did all kinds of stuff. The thing that spoke to me the most was handing out leaflets. Most people hated leafletting. For some reason, I really enjoyed it. And one of the reasons I really enjoyed it was because in a single day, I could hand out several hundred or even several thousand leaflets that talked about veganism and vegan advocacy and the suffering that farm animals are facing. And this is an opportunity that people would think about animals who otherwise wouldn't be thinking about animals. And so if I handed out 1,000 leaflets that day, I know I certainly didn't create 1,000 vegans, but I'm sure I created some new vegans, and I created a lot of other impact in different measurable ways. And so leafletting was really, really what was important to me. And over the course of several years, I ended up handing out 400,000 leaflets. I actually got a job with the organization who printed these leaflets, and they paid me to travel around North America handing out these leaflets. And I found it to be incredibly meaningful work. Then one day, I got some really bad news, and that bad news was that my mom, who again was my rock, she was diagnosed with stage 4 small cell lung cancer, and she was given 6 to 9 months to live. And so I was, of course, heartbroken. We were devastated, and so I took a hiatus from my job where they were paying me to travel around North America, handing these leaflets out. And so I took care of her full time, and she did much better than the doctors predicted because she was an absolute badass, and she lived for another 2.5 years. And in that time, when I was taking care of her, the opportunity arose to take over the social media for the organization I had been working for. And I really didn't want to do this. I kind of reluctantly agreed to do it. But I very, very quickly realized that I could reach more people on social media in one day than I could in an entire lifetime of handing out leaflets. So while I certainly loved leafletting and I found a lot of value in it, I could take that same concept where I am reaching hundreds or thousands of people in a day who otherwise wouldn't be thinking about animal issues, and I could apply that mindset to social media, and I could reach tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of people in that same day with a message of compassion for animals. And so now my animal activism looks a lot different, a lot less sexy, maybe. It is often done behind screens, whether it's behind a computer screen or a phone screen, but it is significantly more impactful for animals. And all I care about is the end impact for animals. What is going to create a better world for animals? And I truly believe that social media is what's going to create a better world for animals, and I believe that many of you also think the same. In 2025, so far, my posts have been seen over 20 million times. Now, I'm not paying to run ads. I am not a magician. I don't have a PhD in social media science. I am just a regular dude who looked at what was working on social media and what wasn't, and constantly tweaked my approach over time. And so you can absolutely have success on social media too. You don't need to reach 20 million people in a year to make a big difference. If you are now currently reaching 300 people a year, and you could go from that to 3,000 people a year, and that is a huge, huge victory for animals. Because as we all painfully know in this room, there are not enough people out there who are speaking up about the incredible injustices happening to animals all around the globe. So let's talk a bit about social media and how to use it well. So there are two really big basic metrics to pay attention to: growth and reach. So growth is essentially the rate of which your followers are growing, and reach is how many people are seeing your posts. Both of these are really important. You want to have a bigger audience so more people sees your message and more people can share your message. And you want to reach more people with your message. Again, reaching 1,000 people is way better than reaching 100 people. And you also want to remember, it's you versus the algorithm. And so I really wish that whatever you posted on social media was seen immediately. Unfortunately, that is not the case. We are essentially beholden to the algorithms that social media platforms have put into place. And so people are only going to see our posts if people are engaging with our posts. And so it's for that reason you really need to have a mindset that is essentially, is this post going to get engagement? Are people going to like it, comment on it, share it, DM it to their friends? If the answer to any of those questions are no, it's probably not worth posting. So really prioritize content that is going to perform well. So what actions do you actually take on social media? I mean, there's so many different things, so many different approaches that you can do. So for one, post your own content. The first picture is a screenshot of a video that I took of pigs who were just arriving at a slaughterhouse outside of Los Angeles. The next photo you see is an array of some incredible vegan food that I ate in Mexico City. Shout out to Mexico City, amazing place. And the third picture is me with a rescued pig named Ty at Granita TYH Animal Sanctuary in Mexico. And this is some of the content that I took in real life and I thought I could post about on social media and people would be interested in seeing it. But you don't have to just post your own content. You can also post other people's content. So these are some tweets of mine, and people who follow me on Twitter, as well as people who don't follow me on Twitter, saw this content and they said, oh, I want to share that with my followers. So they hit that retweet button. And some platforms it's called the share button. And this is essentially people just taking your content, sharing it with their audience. This is how you can take your message and get it seen by exponentially more people. Other things you can do, schedule posts in advance. This is the single biggest hack that once I learned it, my quality of life drastically improved. So when I first started doing social media professionally 12 years ago, I would wake up every day and think, what am I going to post on social media? And that is exhausting. And it's also not a very good way of getting an overhead view of your social media presence. So I started using a platform called Buffer. There's other platforms out there as well. Buffer is my personal favorite. And it is so useful to be able to use all of your creative juices at once and actually schedule your posts in advance. That way you can also focus more on daily engagement instead of just posting something. Organize your content. So many of you here, I'm sure, have lots of great content. Maybe it's photos you took in an animal sanctuary. Maybe it's photos and videos you've taken of food you've eaten at restaurants or incredible meals that you've eaten, or photos and videos of you doing some great animal activism. I know I recognize a lot of people in this room who I know do really great work on the ground speaking up for the animals. So take some of that content and put it all in one place, one organized place, which is much better than just accessing everything on your phone. I'm sure many of you have had the experience of trying to scroll through thousands and thousands of photos to just find the one you're looking for. I really recommend using a platform like Google Team Drives, where you can put everything at once, you can constantly add to it, and you can easily share with other people. Post your origin story. If people follow you on social media, they care about you. They want to hear about your life experience. They want to know why you became the person you are today. And if they don't, then why are they even following you on social media? Talk about your relationships with animals. So this is a pig named Sunshine who I met 2 years ago at the incredible Rosie's Farm Sanctuary. She was actually rescued after falling off of a truck on the way to a slaughterhouse. And she was so little at the time. She is now about 10 times that size, and I cannot hold her anymore. But just getting to spend a little bit of time with her really made an impact on me. And so this is a really great way of talking to your audience about the importance of animals, and talking about individual animals can really make people feel something. And of course, share some of the great plant-based food that you're eating. So while everybody in this room and the many people watching at home understand how great vegan food is and how creative it can be and how great it tastes, a lot of people outside of this room think that vegans just eat plain tofu and grass. We all know that veganism is amazing and opens so many doors to foods that you otherwise wouldn't be eating, and we are so damn creative. This is a photo of an incredible meal that I had at To Live For Bakery in Vancouver, Canada. And it's the best latte I ever had, and this amazing cubed croissant that was like filled with this incredible custard. I still salivate. I'm actually salivating right now looking at this photo. But it's really amazing. And I think you should take that and show it to the outside world and get people to realize how great vegan eating can be. But of course, the most important thing that you all can do is expose cruelty. Expose the wretched reality that farm animals are facing in today's world. While everybody in this room is very, very familiar with the cruelties that animals face, the vast majority of the general population has very little idea. And I think that vegan activists can often get in this mindset where we just think that meat eaters know everything that we know, and they're just refusing to make changes. That's not true. The vast majority of people have maybe some vague idea that farm animals don't live the best lives, and that's about the extent of their knowledge. We need to expose this cruel reality, and luckily social media provides this really amazing opportunity to do so. Avoid the vegan bubble. So, as much as I would love to just have vegan friends and just see all of my content being vegan content, that is not the real world. I really, really advise you not to just go unfriend, and mute, or unfollow or block every meat eater you know. It is really important, especially for them, to see your content, but also for you to understand how they think, what interests them, because that is the real world, and we need to have at least 1 foot in the real world if we want to make a big difference for animals. Post a blend of different kinds of posts. So think about the different types of posts: videos, photos, links, polls, text-only posts, but also the emotions of the posts. So you want to get your happy stuff in there. You want to get your sad stuff in there. Educational, funny. Keep it interesting. Don't just post the same stuff over and over, or your audience is going to get bored. And of course, empower and inspire your audience. Don't just depress them. While yes, it is very, very depressing world for animals in today's world, but at the same time, we can't just depress them. We need to make them feel empowered, like they can actually do something about it. Because, depressing your audience is one thing, but actually giving them resources and encouragement to actually make the changes they need to make, that is really, really important. And don't be overly accusatory. Look, we are justified in being accusatory, okay? We are justified in our anger towards the vast majority of the population who is making choices on a regular basis that harm animals. At the same time, we need to channel that anger into something productive. And something productive is getting people to have their hearts and minds opened. So it's really, really important that we aren't jerks. When is the last time you saw someone being a jerk and you were like, I want to be like that person? Shine a light on personal achievements. Why personal achievements give you more credibility. And credibility on social media is really, really important. And so when you have achieved something in your life, talk about it, because that gives you a stronger voice for the animals. And again, there aren't enough people out there who are doing the work that needs to be done for animals. And so each one of us has a big we each have a big responsibility to be as effective as possible. Don't post too much or too infrequently. If you post too much, like all day, every day, people are going to get annoyed by you. If you post way too infrequently, people are going to forget that you exist. So you want to find this happy middle ground. And less is more. So I would love to write multiple paragraphs with every single caption of every single post to talk about why everybody should be vegan and why we need to fight for animal rights and so on. But in today's world, people are on social media so incredibly, at such an incredible quick pace that they are just scrolling. It's like scroll, stop, scroll, stop, scroll, stop. Like they are not spending much time reading your captions. So you want to say as much as possible in as few words as possible. Yes, occasionally an exception is fine, but the majority of the time you want to keep your messages short and sweet. After all, this tweet was just 7 words followed by 1 emoji, and the video was very successful. It was seen over 1 million times. When it comes to dealing with trolls and endless debates, don't do it. It is a waste of time. Occasionally engaging is fine. I don't want to say you absolutely can never engage with these people, but I see way too many vegan activists use their very limited time and resources on social media engaging with one person who doesn't even believe the things that they're saying. They're just trying to get under your skin. It is not a good use of your limited time and resources. And what have I said a few times during this presentation? It's that there are not enough of us doing this work, which means there's not enough hours being dedicated to effective social media advocacy. And so when some of those few hours are going towards debating with one person, it is just such a missed opportunity. So effective communication, one of the things to remember is to not make people feel judged. Remember that that they are on a similar journey that you were on many years ago. While I have been a vegan activist for the last 16 years, before that, I ate animals every single day. If I didn't eat animals, I was like, what's missing in this meal? And so we need to remember that we are not our audience. They are the audience, and we need to reach them. And if they're going to feel judged, that is going to be really, really harmful. So really try to reach people in a way that they are receptive to. I really recommend the 3 R's, being relatable, reasonable, and rational. So how do you get more followers on social media? Well, this stuff is pretty basic, pretty common sense, but it's worth going over. Post good content. People want to follow accounts that post things that are interesting. So really ask yourself every time you're going to post something, hey, is this interesting? Shares, retweets, getting people to see your post and then share that with our audience, that is huge. That is a really great way to exponentially get more people to view your posts. You know, there's this belief that is totally wrong that if you have, if you're a vegan activist and let's say you have 1,000 followers on social media, that only those 1,000 followers of yours are seeing your content. Well, the way that social media works is that these people will share your content into their news feeds, and the more shares you get, the further away from you they are, which means the higher and higher percentage of non-vegans are seeing your content. And so I mentioned earlier in this presentation that in 2025, my posts have been seen over 20 million times. And through doing some math based on this, I can basically guarantee that well over 15 million of those 20 million views were from non-vegans. And so it's really, really important to get people to share your content. That is how we're going to create a vegan world. And then let's talk about engagement, both externally and internally. So external engagement is essentially finding followers or finding content that's out there on the internet that your audience would, that really fits what you post, and go to those posts, engage in the comments section, like comments, reply to comments, and so on. And then engage internally. So when people are commenting on your posts or DMing you, make sure you're engaging with that as a way to kind of say thank you to them. So I'm going to very, very quickly go through a few content tips. I'd recommend taking a picture of this and then maybe asking me about it later. I don't have time to get through every single one. But for one, I will say not all of your content needs to be original. A lot of great content already out there on the internet. Shorter the better. A very quick video is better than something highly produced and highly edited. And I will say when it comes to animal abuse focused content, I really recommend focusing on one animal and focusing on one type of animal abuse at once. This is much better than showing a whole barrage of different types of abuse. So focus on one type of cruelty, because that is going to get people to really feel something. They are really going to be able to relate to it. Whether it's, even if, obviously humans don't have beaks, so we don't have tails, but if you were to see a video of a chicken being debeaked, you can kind of feel that pain. If you see a video of a piglet being castrated without painkillers, you can feel their pain. And so I really recommend focusing on one type of animal abuse at a time. The results that you are going to achieve through your advocacy, what you are actually going to see and hear about is only the tip of the iceberg. Because I've done this work for so long online, I've been fortunate enough to get some really great messages like the ones you see here, where people are very much impacted by this work. But I guarantee you, everybody in this room who has ever spoken up for animals in the digital world has created many, so much impact, just like the messages you see here. So I'm going to leave you all with a quote from the late, great Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this is so important to remember because as some of the few vegan activists doing this work on a day in, day out basis, we absolutely need to make people feel something. Because when they feel something, they are more likely to make a change for the animals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Excellent points. We have about 2 minutes for questions and comments. Anyone? I see someone there.
Yeah, thank you for the talk. So I've been trying to edit videos myself. I've done like 2, but I still struggle with not enough knowledge on quick stuff where it takes me like an hour till I find a solution. Is there any place where people who've been doing it longer, where people can ask, or any community where people are working on getting better together that could make the process faster?
Yeah, so I did mention earlier how I really prioritize unedited videos, which is great. At the same time, I think that occasionally editing like reels can be very, very useful, especially if it's a more complex video, like with someone talking and so on. And there are some vegan communities out there. Great activist David Rams runs one. If you aren't already part of this group and you want to be part of it, just mention this to me today or this weekend. I'll be here all weekend, and I will get you in that group. But you can also, reach out to creators who you particularly feel inspired by and learn how they do it. See if maybe they offer any courses or any classes or maybe any one-on-one training. But then also, last thing I'll say is just if you want to become a really good editor, just spend more time editing and you will become significantly better over time.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time for questions. But are you here on the conference, John?
Yes, so I will be here the whole conference. So I will, it's not that large of a place. So feel free to come find me and talk with me. And I would love if I could get a selfie with everybody. Is that okay? If you don't want to be part of the selfie, I'd say run out of the room in the next 10 seconds. All right. I'm going to do vertical and then horizontal.
All right.
All right, I guess I should say something. All right, let's say IARC on the count of 3. IARC, all right? 1, 2, 3.
IARC.
All right, cool.
Okay,
Thank
give
you,
it up
everybody.
for John.